All right. Instant reaction. The cards just ended. Canelo versus Berlanga ended about an hour ago, and then UFC wrapped up a little bit later. We did a stream with both of them. Appreciate everybody that came through. It was a great, successful, funny stream. Y'all made me laugh a lot tonight because some of the fights were a little bit uneventful, but the chat kept us alive. I'll start off with Canelo versus Berlanga fight first because just in chronological order it came first. Not chronological. What am I saying? I don't know. It just happened earlier. Um, I thought Canelo looked really good. I thought early he was pressing the action a little bit more than his last couple fights. A lot of people are saying, Canelo has reached a point in his career where he's just satisfied fighting nobodies. He's, carrying his opponents like Munguia. They said he carried Munguia. He's not really, having that drive to be the best as much as he was before. If he did have that drive to be the best, he would be fighting Benavidez. If he had that drive to be the best, he would be maybe, rematching Bivol, even though he wants that fight. But really, everyone's saying if he really wanted to still be the best, like the old Canelo, old, hungry, young Canelo, he would be ready to go after Benavidez. And they said he's just fighting just to make money. And me as a Canelo fan, I defend it as much as I can, but it's hard to deny that is kind of the stage of the career he's in. He's earned it. When you become the biggest moneymaker in the sport, that's kind of what you can just fight whoever you want, and you're going to make the same money. It's hard to be motivated to fight the hardest test when you're going to make that same money against, lesser names, lesser threats. And I thought tonight was another example of that, but I did like the fact that Berlanga made a decent name for himself and, had a performance that he could be proud of. He took a beating. And it wasn't highly competitive. It wasn't really any moments where I thought Canelo was in trouble or that Berlanga was taking over the fight or having a chance to shift the fight. He gets dropped early. Um, there's a couple moments where they got very, heated after the bell, a headbutt. And that shows Berlanga is not in there to just lay down. And I respect that. That's the only thing that I need. Yeah, okay. Maybe Canelo is just in an era where he wants to fight guys just for fun. But let's not make these exhibitions, Charlo. Let's not make it an exhibition where you're just going to lay down for him. Munguia tried his best, but he didn't really make it a dog fight, and he didn't really, he wasn't really willing to do anything in the fight like Berlanga. He was really the headbutt, get in Canelo's face, try to get in his head after the, in between rounds and, get him off his game. I like that from Berlanga, and I thought even though he lost the fight and even though Canelo dominantly pretty much walked through him, I respect the fact that he made a decent account of himself and did not lay down for Canelo and get basically hoed like a lot of these last couple guys have. So respect to Berlanga. I thought Canelo looked good. Next for Canelo, I don't really know. This era of, fighting guys that no one is expecting you to fight and no one really wants you to fight. There's only so long it can last until you just start knocking them all off. There's only so many undefeated guys that are still left that can, you can try to throw in a poster next to you. There's not really big names that you can fight just off name value, even though they have losses. You're gonna have to just keep picking out these undefeated guys and being like, oh, this is the next prospect. This is a real fight for Canelo. Maybe he'll fight, maybe he'll finally give Chris Eubank a chance. I don't know, man. There's really not much left. If he doesn't want to fight Benavidez, I don't know what else is left. Canelo's not that old, man. And he doesn't look washed. I don't think he's washed. Which is what really upsets me about the fact that he is, for the most, okay, I'll just say it. He is ducking Benavidez. I'll just say it. He's only 34 years old, and I don't think that people make Benavidez out to be a monster. He's a great fighter. But I don't think it's just going to be like a wash where Benavidez is like just far and away ahead of Canelo, where it's not even like competitive. Like, oh, it's going to be minus 500 Benavidez and Canelo has no, it's a 50-50 fight, bro. And I think I would still maybe favor Canelo, maybe. To me, that's still a 50-50 fight. So the fact that he probably is ducking him really doesn't make sense to me because he does have a chance to win that fight and shut up all the naysayers. And I think if it gets loud enough, actually, I think Canelo's stubborn, man. I don't think he gives a fuck, to be honest. I don't think he cares how loud the fans get. I don't think he cares about how much people complain about, the next opponent and say they're not going to watch. He has his core fan base, and they're going to watch, and they're going to support, and the Mexican fans show out. The Mexican fans are the most passionate fans. I was at the press conference and the weigh-ins earlier this week. The Mexican fans always show out. They showed out for this and the UFC Noche, which I'll speak on as well. They're the most passionate fans out there. If it's a black fighter or a white fighter or an Australian fighter or any of those, the fans might have turned their back on him by now. But Mexican combat sports fans are some of the most diehard people in the game. And Canelo, as long as he still has them, but the fact that Benavidez is also Mexican or Mexican American, I think he's Mexican American, kind of pulls at that. But Canelo has such a hold on those Mexican fans for all these years. I don't think that they would completely turn on him unless he just does something egregious, where he fights like somebody with like 4 losses or Jake Paul or some crazy shit. Maybe then they'll turn on him. But if he keeps giving them entertaining fights, keeps giving them fun fight weeks, Mexican Independence Week, give him an event to show up to, I don't think they're going to turn on Canelo, and I think that he's going to continue to do whatever the hell he wants because he's stubborn and he's made the money and he's doesn't have to bow down to anybody. He doesn't have to listen to Turkey Alish. He don't care. These new up and coming guys will jump the gun to finally get the payday they always wanted from Turkey. Canelo don't need that. I get the payday I want in the structure that I've already built for myself. I don't need you, and that's just how it's going to go. So yeah, impressive from Canelo. Even more impressive this is pretty much what I expected from Canelo, but I thought Berlanga overachieved, not as far as, technically or making the fight competitive, but not quitting on himself and, actually give him a good effort. So salute to Berlanga. Respect it. I'd love to see him fight maybe Caleb Plant, maybe Munguia. I think that he's an interesting contender and he could give some fun fights. I think him and Plant will be really fun. Really fun. And after tonight, maybe he could make it competitive with Plant because Plant looked good. Great fight for Caleb Plant. But he did have moments where he looked vulnerable, and maybe even McCumbee, man, McCumbee looked good. Maybe he's a real player too. That division will be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch, man. Everyone with the boxing is dying, boxing is dead. Stop it, people. You're weird. UFC fans that hate boxing, you're weird. Boxing fans that hate UFC, you're weird. Accept both. They're not the same sport. Whatever. Don't watch one if you don't like the other one. Stop being weird. And with that said, we're going to shift over to UFC 306. I'm not going to lie, this is a rare thing that happens when the fights that everyone's the most